15 of the 17 starters today all coming through this program, and we're guaranteed to probably bring another half dozen there in 2024. Field set, and indeed we are racing. Green, 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 and hold your hats coming into turn number 1. How about 4, 5 wide? Can they get through clean? No contact there. Around goes one of the drivers. That is one of the, I think that was Nikita Johnson who went around. Not used to seeing the VRD car. There's another guy, Scoto involved as well. A number of drivers involved in an incident. We'll go full course yellow for sure. D'Orlando goes out into the early lead. Everybody else settling back in. And we'll see how it all plays out. I believe Porto in 3rd, Rowe in 5th, full course yellow. And again, hard to pick up that car. I'm not used to seeing the all-carbon fiber machine for the VRD car of Nikita Johnson. That's the driver who went around there. Also, Lindsey Brewer involved in the incident, and I think big damage to the left rear. I wonder if that is, trying to figure out which car that is. Oh, that is one of the, I believe, potentially one of the TJ Speed cars involved as well. Oh, no, that might be Danny Dzelski. We'll see how it all plays out when they come through here, folks. For sure, that is Lindsey Brewer. She looped it around going into the corner. This will be a replay to see for sure. I saw one of the drivers diving up the inside, and you can see Nikita Johnson was on the outside coming over to the apex. Someone got into the right rear of Nikita and sent him around. At that point, you got to figure just the chain reaction, everybody bunching back up. Field working its way around again. First lap will go into the books under yellow. And that's, listen, this happens here at Portland. We know. There's the number 2. Yeah, Jonathan Brown with some issues as well. That's the number 2. You can see him coming here, rear wing essentially off that number 2 machine. The team will go to work to see if they can't get that fixed for him. But tough one for Jonathan Brown. He started again up in the 9th position. Number of drivers involved. I wonder whether or not the 44 Dzelski might have been involved as well. Let's see who's coming through right here. That is actually the number 3. So that's St. Jean. So I think maybe Danny Dzelski is going to get involved in that as well. Yeah, so Nikita Johnson, Danny Dzelski, Jonathan Brown. We know that Scoto was involved. Lindsey Brewer as well. And I think that maybe Frankie Mossman and Nicholas Monteiro as well involved. So it looks like we may have had 7 drivers involved in the incident to come back around. So a lot of attrition here on the opening lap. Not, of course, up front. The first couple of guys got through clean. Nikita Johnson, who started in 2nd. Hopefully we can get a chance to look at the replay here as they came down into turn number 1 for the first time. I've talked about the fact they were 5 wide. So we will, team working on the replay right now. We'll get that up when we can. But again, it's tough because everybody filing down into that corner. As wide as you are, the driver's on the outside because they're going to be able to turn in a little bit earlier. They're going to break a bit later. They're going to be able to get rolled in and get back on the power. Where the drivers are on the inside have a more shallow entry. They've got to break a bit earlier. And a lot of the times you'll see that brake lock up. Drivers trying to make a move to the inside. And whoever it was up into the inside got into the right rear of Nikita Johnson as he transitioned from the outside into the apex of turn number 2. So tough one for Nikita. Remember, he just got out of the car after 25 laps, so he's not going to get to do those 30 we thought he was going to be able to do to cap things off. So tough one for Nikita, coming off that victory at Circuit of the Americas last Sunday. So let's have a look at this replay, folks. If you're trackside, have a look at the big screens. If you're at home, we'll give you a replay of the start. They're going to come down here into turn number 1. See how many drivers are all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. You can see coming across the line there, down into the corner. Yeah, that indeed is going to be the car of the 44 of Danny Dzelski. He had made up move up the inside. You can see the left front damage for Dzelski in the 44. He's just leaving the screen now. Indeed, the Scoto pulls out. Avery Towns through. Danny Dzelski's all the way down to the inside of the racetrack. You look at him. Look at the contact further back, up in the air. Oh, that car is up in the air. I wasn't even looking at a Scoto. But as Nikita Johnson tries to come back across the track and into the corner, Danny Dzelski's coming through as well. He makes contact. So left front to right rear, Dzelski and Johnson. Here it is again. Look back to the inside. You can see Nikita Johnson coming all the way from the outside. Dzelski's got the position. The Johnson's trying to come through. There's a Scoto. Look at how much carnage we had further back as well. Those drivers getting together. Big damage to the left rear of that TJ Speed car as well. That's Nicholas Monteiro, I believe, the driver who had the big damage to the left rear. Man, So Monteiro, Mossman, Brewer, Escoto, he's the driver that was up in the air in a big way. Phil, did you see like that? That was pretty crazy to me. They came through. Escoto obviously rolling a lot of speed through. Everybody kind of woeing up, and I think he climbed over whoever was in front of him. Probably a driver on both sides. He climbed up and over. And luckily, that car didn't go all the way over backwards.
Couple of cars up in the air, like you said, Robin. It's not a surprise. Disappointing for the drivers. This is where if you got a championship on the line, your main thought is to get through turn one and get out there.
Yeah, listen, Kiko Porto got through and so did Miles Rowe, right? The two primary drivers in the middle of the championship fight were able to get through. Salvador de Alba, who started 11th, he finds himself up now into 7th spot, so there's still an opportunity. He is 88 points back. He is very likely going to lose his opportunity to go for the championship here. But again, think about de Alba. He's trying to see if he can't hold on to 3rd in the championship as well. So still work to be done, but he'll take that 4-position improvement, as will Lucas St. Jean, who started at 12th. He's now up into 8th, so 4-position improvement for him as well. But again, we're going to cruise around under the yellow a little bit here because there was significant damage, and you can see from the contact that very likely a lot of carbon fiber down there in the turn 1, 2, 3 complex, so the AMR IndyCar safety crew will clean that up. They had rolled the ambulance. You wonder whether or not maybe one of the drivers complained of potentially an injury. Hopefully it wasn't Nikita Johnson. Of course, he's got more work to do in the USF 2000 category here this weekend. Nonetheless, he came across the bow from left to right. Danny Dzelski was trying to hold that spot too. There's the car of the 32 of Nicholas Monteiro running the TJ Speed car. He had a single car effort, Neotech, throughout the season, electing not to make the trek out here with the whole car and trailer, just running the number 32 for TJ Speed, the car vacated by Christian Weir before the COTA event. And they've got the full diaper on that, which means I'm thinking we saw the damage on the left rear, very likely gearbox trouble there as well, crack the gearbox potentially and drop the gear oil all over the racetrack. So they want to make sure they don't drip that all over. Here comes another one of the turn 3 cars. I'm going to assume that's probably Danny Dzelski's machine. Hard to pick up the number here with the white number plate kind of washing out on us, but very likely the 44 of Dzelski there. I think Jonathan Brown was involved as well, but he was able to limp it around. So that'll be Dzelski's machine with the left front damage after the contact with the right rear of Nikita Johnson. But hey, that's Portland, Bobby. That's what it is, right? This is literally this corner, these festival chicane that has been around for so long. It's just a fight for the apex of turn number 2. Not even the apex of 1, because you can make a lot of different corners. It's who gets to the apex of 2. You've got to give each other room.
You do have to give each other room. And you mentioned Miles Rowe. If you go back and look at the replay, the car that spun backwards at the top of 2, you literally see Miles come right across his front and miss it probably 2 feet. So, again, we battle about a championship, and that's what happens. You have to be lucky as well.
Yeah, lucky to be good, good to be lucky. Let's throw it back out because we have some time. Maybe the crew can re-rack that replay for us. We don't need to look at the incident for Escoto. We don't need to look at the incident with Nikita and Danny Dzelski. Let's try to pick up that number 99 of Miles Rowe if we can see it again, because, again, that's a really good pickup, Bobby, because depending on who gets through, here's the shot from the outside of the corner. So here comes across. You see the 17 coming across. He's going to make contact. Look at Rowe's going to very wisely tuck to the inside. There's Escoto in the air. Escoto happening further back. This is Nikita. Look at the veteran move to go all the way around the outside, Bobby. Really stayed on the wheel coming out of the corner and got way around the outside. Porto coming through. Everybody else making evasive maneuvers. And out of the cloud comes the number 99 of Miles Rowe. What a difference a year makes.
Oh, it's so true.
Last year, he was in the air. This year, trying to win a championship, he's the one that gets through the chaos.
You know, it has a little bit of that Scott Dixon-esque dirt cloud from turn 3 many years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
Would go through and end up winning a championship. But great driving, smart driving, just knows, give a guys enough room. And listen, we knew something was going to happen eventually. It just happened. But 5 wide trying to go into 1. You try and pull that anytime else,
exactly.
It's not, you're going to see the exact same thing.
So the fields come into pit lane. They've thrown the red to bring them all the way into pit lane. I think probably re-rack them at this point here, get an opportunity to kind of look at the results, use the timing lines on the track to figure out where they're going to be on the racetrack right now. Michael D'Orlando, we know, will be up front. But again, just trying to see if I've got, a red flag to reorder the field. Kind of what I expected to happen here. So indeed, drivers firing things back up, bringing them back in. We'll get them in the right positions. Get some umbrellas out for these drivers because it is getting warmer here right now. 79 degrees here, ambient temperature. The AMR IndyCar safety crew has done a great job to get this track where it needs to be. You can see them taking their safety vehicles back to their positions where they are located around this racetrack. Perfectly positioned, of course, not surprisingly. A bunch of trucks right there at the Festival Chicane. Why not? Probably the place you're going to need them early on. But give them a chance to get back to their positions. We'll be able to get right back at it once they've got this field set. And again, this is where race control comes into play, right? They're able to go through the video, the timing lines. They're going to be able to see where we are when the yellow flag came out. And that's why a lot of the times when an incident will happen on the racetrack, we're going for full course yellow,
absolutely.
but we let them go for another maybe half a lap, right? We could literally let them get down the back straightaway and then throw that yellow. It allows them to kind of settle in. They know that they have to race pretty hard after a potential yellow could come out, so it just gives us time to kind of figure things out.
It's smart by race control to do that because, again, a little bit of extra helps them, helps everybody just kind of calm down. Because you immediately throw a yellow, say you immediately throw it as stuff is still happening, field still bunches up, and you still have a lot more damage that could go, so
Indeed.
it's smart.
Yeah, let them go. And we do that for, again, about a half a lap. As we saw, they were able to work their way through 6 and 7 and kind of get onto the back straightaway before the yellow flag came out. You need to give them just an opportunity to set things back up. I don't have any access to that, so we'll see when they roll back out how it all plays out here.
Right, looks like we're just resetting vehicles at this point. Here comes one more AMR safety truck. We know we have the little command vehicle still down there at the top of 2. They'll eventually move back behind the wall, but...
So, Bobby, I'm looking down here right now from where we are. Hard to see from where we are, but Michael D'Orlando, the leader. Kiko Porto into second. As they came across the track, Liram Zandelli, but he had worked his way up to second. They're moving Liram back a couple of spots. It looks to me like Miles Rowe is going to go into third, and then potentially, I think, Bajoy Garg up into the 4th spot, then Zandelli in 5th. Again, they're doing what they can to get these cars back into position here now.
Right, and I think probably that has to do with guys trying to cut the corner to avoid calamity.
Indeed that.
1 and 2.
That's
so.
it. And if you did that, again, you're not going to be able to hold that spot.
Right.
Tough one for a bunch of drivers who were looking for good runs for sure. Again, you talk about Danny Dezelski here in his opening run in USF Pro 2000. The driver out of North Carolina started 7th, a great qualifying run for Turn 3 Motorsport. Hopefully they'll be able to get that car dialed back in for him. Didn't look like a lot of damage for Dezelski, of course, back again tomorrow afternoon. So lots of time to fix these cars up here this evening and then through the morning tomorrow. Again, for those of you who are here, tomorrow on Saturday, we'll be rolling out green flag for USF 2000 at 2:15, and then for the USF Pro 2000 drivers at about 3:10. So let's just say early afternoon, early evening kind of a thing for those drivers. 2 more races tomorrow afternoon, Bobby, then 2 more to cap things off after the Grand Prix of Portland IndyCar race on Sunday. So as we keep telling everybody, you don't need to jump into traffic. Don't jump into the car. Take 2 hours to get off the property. You know how the traffic's going to be getting out of here. Grab another cold beer.
Absolutely.
Find a better seat because you can move around. Everybody else is bailed. People are going to bail out. So find a good place to be, and you're going to be good to go for a couple of races. Our champions will likely be crowned. And here we come. D'Orlando, Porto, Rowe 1, 2, 3. Garg in 4th spot. Zandelli in 5th. 6th is Jace Denmark. 7th is Jack William Miller. 8th spot, I believe, is going to be Salvador de Alba. 9th will be Lucas St. Jean. 10th, Francesco Pizzi. 11th, Avery Towns. 12th is Jordan Missig. And I think that's going to be it. Because, we lost 7 drivers. Nikita Johnson, Danny Dezelski, Jonathan Brown, Ricardo Scotto, Lindsey Brewer, Frankie Mossman, and Nicholas Montiero. Cross my fingers and hope we'll be able to get through the opening corner cleanly. That didn't work.
Nope.
So we'll try something different tomorrow. But again, we see it all the time, right? The instance we had last year that so severely affected the championship battle in USF 2000, drivers getting into the corner, braking early, or diving into the corner and expecting to make the corner. I don't know that was Dezelski's fault because it seemed to me like he had woed it up. Nikita, of course, coming way across the bow. It doesn't take much to make that left front to right rear contact. Maybe a little more wheel in it for Dezelski. But again, remember, he's going into the corner. He's not looking to his left.
No.
He's looking through the corner, through turn 1, all the way to turn 2. So he has no idea Nikita's coming across. That's almost a racing incident. I'll sit down with race control afterwards. I'm really interested in seeing how they look at that. Was it a racing incident? Was Nikita coming across too aggressively? He made a great move. He had the inside line.
He had the inside line.
So does Danny have to check up a little more, knowing where he is? We know that the number 99 of Miles Rowe did that and he was able to get around the corner. But I think, again, through turn 1, it's the battle for the apex of 2. That's what it comes down to.
It really is. And, again, I know that we're getting ready to go back to green here in just a second, but you're now going to pack these cars back up. They're going to make another attempt of it. The nice thing is they're not necessarily side-by-side on the restart.
True.
So let's see if they can get through here cleanly.
We have a 50-minute window to get 30 laps in. We've got 5 laps down when they come across the line. We're back at it, folks. Green flag flying. And Michael D'Orlando will lead him down into turn number 1, but a big move to the bottom of the racetrack for Kiko Porto. Porto to the bottom. Can he make it stick into turn number 1? He does not, across the bow, and D'Orlando's got to check up. He's going to have to let everybody come through. Liram Zendelli does it as well. Both those drivers cutting the track, not going through, so they are going to have to be smart and let these guys through. If you don't, you're potentially going to set yourself up for a drive-through penalty. D'Orlando, your leader, coming out of turn number 3 over to 4 and 5. But you know he's going to have to give it up on the back straightaway because he cut the course coming through. Kiko Porter was down to the inside. We'll see how this plays out because, again, when you're a driver, you don't want to bring race control in. Do the best you can to potentially not have race control come in with the heavy fist.
Yeah, and that comment will come from their team saying, hey, you got to give up the position 1, 2, or 3 spots. So we'll see how severe it is once it comes down.
And I believe Liram Zendelli was the other driver that cut the course as well. He may do it on the front straightaway, get through the opening lap, wait for the call to come in because, of course, the drivers are hardcore through the first busy part of this racetrack. When they get back on the straightaway, the team can radio in, say, hey, listen, this is what we're getting here from race control. We'll see whether or not he gives it up. He's going to have a couple of laps to do it. So, indeed, we expect radio control to happen. Let me hop over to my text here. I'm sure somebody's going to give me an update. At least I hope somebody gives me an update. Field set coming down into the corner. There's D'Orlando with the lead. Kiko Porto runs in second. Miles Rowe in third. Fourth, Zendelli. I think Zendelli may have given the spot up already. Not quite sure. Have not yet got any update from anybody here from race control in terms of what's happening here. But again, Field is settling himself into the fight now. We'll have a look at the full field rundown when they come back around. Look at this scrap a little further back. That's a good one. That's Bajoy Garg and Liram Zendelli going at it. That's a little bit further back as well. We got ourselves a good scrap in this category. Again, for Miles Rowe, just like we saw to Simon Sykes, he can be smart. He'd love to clinch it here, but you don't need to. Bring home a bunch of good points, and you're eventually going to just start the race to win the championship kind of thing. After this race, when he goes into race number 3, all he needs is to hold on to a 33-point lead, right, to the final race. Very lucky, very able to have that done. Zendelli's actually fallen to the tail of the field in the number 10. There could be an issue with Liram Zendelli. I don't know that they would have given him a drive-through, but he looks like Zendelli's coming to pit lane. I don't know if there's damage. He did cut the track, but you'd think you'd give him more time. So I don't know what happened to Liram Zendelli, that TJ Speed driver coming into pit lane. Let's have a look at the group. D'Orlando leads. Porto in second. Miles Rowe third. Bajoy Garg fourth. Jace Denmark in fifth. Jack William Miller in sixth spot. Seventh is Lucas St. John. Eighth is Zendelli, I believe. No, he's coming to pit lane. Live timing messed up a little bit here. Not quite sure what the call is from race control. So, okay, here's what we're seeing. So the shortcut penalty for Michael D'Orlando. He is slowing down on the racetrack here. Is he going to get a full drive-through, or is he going to just go to the tail of the field here? So both drivers, D'Orlando and Zendelli, shortcut the course. D'Orlando actually drops a wheel coming out of turn number 5, or 6, rather. Oh, 7, that's 7, right? 7? So, wow, that's interesting. With the shortcut, I'm surprised they weren't allowed to just give up the spots. But again, maybe that's the call. If you cut the course like that, you're going to go and do a drive-through. So you got to stay on the racetrack. Give it up and stay on the racetrack. He'll go to the tail of the field. We'll see if he comes into the pit lane. At this point, he has not. He has dropped to the tail of the field for D'Orlando. I've been told penalty or a shortcut for Michael D'Orlando. Same for Liram Zendelli. So, man, that shakes things up in a big way for sure. Look at the scrap we have going on deeper back in the pack, too, just at the tail end of the top 10 here. This is about Kiko Porto into the lead, Miles Rowe in second. So as they run on the racetrack with as many laps, Kiko Porto could come away with not only the win, but the most laps led. That would be 31 points. He would gain 6 on a road to put it down to 52 points. So Kiko Porto trying to take hold of at least his own destiny. Miles Rowe is going to he would cruise home to second right now. Put himself in the right spot. But again, I don't know that Miles Rowe knows the term cruise. If there's one thing about Miles Rowe, when it comes to going for a move, this is the guy you're never going to have to push to make a move. Look at this fight. Oh, contact there between Salvador de Alba and he and Jack William Miller. And one driver's going to come off the racetrack. That might be Jack William Miller in the 40. Indeed, he is pulled off the side of the racetrack after a little side-by-side contact between he and De Alba coming into the braking zone of turn number 9. Shaking and baking in a big way. Jordan Missig going after Francesco Pizzi as well. Let's have a look at the replay. Is Pizzi able to get to the inside there of Jordan Missig? We'll see a replay of them coming down the back straightaway here. Here's De Alba. There is the 40. De Alba to the right, Miller to the left. They're coming down into the braking zone of turn number 9. It looks like that De Alba may think he's already clear and kind of comes across except for the corner a little bit. And obviously not quite clear enough. I'm going to say the trailing edge of the right rear to the front edge of the left front for Miller. So just a little bit of contact, potentially though bending a suspension piece for Jack William Miller. Man, Bobby, action to cap off the day.
Absolutely. And again, we're waiting for this to happen. Again, not necessarily a normal passing point, but guys are going side by side down that back stretch. That could have been a lot worse. They would have hooked a back tire to a front tire. Both guys would have lost control, gone through there, and that could have been a whole lot worse than it was.
Indeed. De Alba had the inside for the turn number 9 coming at the end of the back straightaway. This is first and second. This is actually second and first in the championship as well. Miles Rowe running in second. And here's the thing for Miles Rowe. He doesn't want Kiko Porto to lead. Obviously, he doesn't want him to get max points. If he beats him, he wins the race. He wins the championship, right? If Porto wins, or rather Rowe wins, I think it's going to be maybe not. If Kiko Porto finishes second, it won't be quite enough. If I'm Miles Rowe, I run second right now because you're going to have a massive lead still going into 2 more races, although he would love, of course, to stretch it out. This will be an interesting thought. And again, I've had this conversation before, Bobby, and it's interesting. When I say something, when I say I'm going to be, I would lean towards strategy. Most of the racers I talk to say, I wouldn't do that. The racer wants, intrinsically in the fire of that racer, they want to go for the race win. Even though maybe it may be a good idea to take second, they just have that thing where I want to beat him. I want to get by him. I want to make sure, make it even closer for me winning the championship.
And Miles has a run on him going down the front straight. We'll see.
Hold on. The gap's still about 5 or 6 car lengths coming into turn number 1, but Rowe pushing hard. Last time by, both drivers turning 110.4s. This time 110.2s. You can see how close they are there. Bajoy Garg, what a great run for Bajoy, coming off a big win in IMSA competition in his P3 car. Obviously, the momentum there helping Bajoy. And D-Force, listen, they've been good at the last 2 races. Bobby, they were really the team to beat for a majority of the weekend at the Circuit of the Americas. As it got super, super hot, they backed off a little bit. It was a cooler weather on the Sunday morning. They were good in the heat. In the cooler weather, Nikita Johnson and VRD kind of came to the forefront. Kiko Porto and Matt Clark still finished on the podium in second and third. But they were really good at COTA, and they've just kept it up. They're running second and first and third here with Porto and Garg. So all told, I'm sure they're very happy with the way things are playing out. Although they do want to win this championship. Kiko Porto's won USF 2000 before. A couple years ago, won the title. Still not out of the question for him to win it here. But he's definitely going to have to hold back the Lions. He's going to have to win all 3 races, I think, with the way Miles Rowe is running right now.
Yeah, and when you mention colder temperatures, you're talking like mid-90s, right? Not the 116.
I literally want to say cooler. I think it was like 85 or 90 degrees. That was the cooler temperatures of the 111 degrees it was come the high heat of Sunday. Yeah, isn't that crazy to say that? I think it was high 80s was the cooler temperatures on the weekend.
No, but you're right though. They've run really well. They're doing great first and third, as you said. But Miles Rowe's not going to let him just get away. You can cruise to second, and that's a great strategy play, as you said. Maintain the points lead. Don't worry about it. Extend it out because eventually, by the time the Sunday rolls around, you're going to have a championship in hand. You just got to be smart about it.
Bobby, here's the key. the pressure is not on Miles Rowe.
Right.
The pressure is on Kiko Porto.
Absolutely.
So if Miles stays close enough to keep the pressure on, keep pushing, does he force Kiko into a mistake, right? And I guarantee you they're on the radio right now saying, okay, Miles, P2 is good. Just bring it home. And Miles is like, I want to win. I want to win. And although, like I said, with Kiko, even if Kiko finishes second, he can't lock it in today, right? So even if you throw it at it and try to get through, you can't lock it down, right? And it indeed would kind of open up, if they wreck, could potentially open up for Salvador de Alba to get back into the championship discussion as well. So again, the fight, the yin and the yang inside the racer, I can cruise to second and get myself into position to win the championship tomorrow, or I can go for the race win right now to all but lock it down by starting race number 2. So as they run on the racetrack, Kiko Porter doing a great job. He leads here. We're only not even halfway through as well. A 30-lap race on this 1.9-mile racetrack. Kiko Porter, Miles Rowe, Bajoy Garg, Jace Denmark, and Lucas St. Jean across the line, top 5 at the end of lap number 13. Salvador de Alba in 6th, Francesco Pizzi 7th, Jordan Missig in 8th, Michael D'Orlando still on the lead lap in 9th. He fell to the tail of the field. That was the way to do it. He currently runs in 9th spot. He's trying to now reel in Jordan Missig if possible. Avery Towns in the 10th position right now. Jack William Miller retired after the contact with Salvador de Alba. He's gone to 11th. Liram Zendelli wrapped things up. He came off the track and actually stopped. He got a drive-through, but with D'Orlando falling to the tail of the field, you figured that would have been the same penalty for Zendelli. I wonder if indeed there was a mechanical for Liram Zendelli as he's pulled off the racetrack, as we know. Jonathan Brown off after one lap as well. He had the damage, but he was able to complete a lap. Nikita Johnson, Danny Dozelski, Ricardo Scotto, Lindsey Brewer, Frankie Mossman, and Nicholas Monteiro all involved in that huge wreck in the opening corner here to start this 30-lap race.
That second car that you were talking about that had cut through the corner, there was significant brake smoke when he was going through this. So I don't know if he missed a section, had an issue with the car, but he was definitely, there was an issue at that moment.
Liram Zendelli in that number 10 actually just leaving pit lane in front of us. We're essentially right here, just a little bit past start-finish line in the tower here at Portland. So although we're keeping an eye on the broadcast and the video here to call the coverage, being able to see him leave pit lane. We will take the opportunity to say hello to all of those of you watching on the coverage. Bom dia to all the Brazilians watching. Of course, I want to throw a little Portuguese. I've made the decision, Bobby, we have a lot of Brazilian racers. And on the chat, the Brazilians are very active. Let's put it that way.
That's what you said.
So in the off-season, I figure I've got about 6 months. I'm going to try to knock out some Portuguese. I'm going to see what I can do because I want to head down to Brazil potentially to do maybe a karting event down there. So I think I got to learn some Portuguese. That's my off-season program.
If I have to learn calculus for school that I went back to 2 years ago, you can learn Portuguese, my brother, at your advanced
I'm going to work on it. I'm 100%. We have a lot of Brazilian drivers in this program, as we know. So, again, that's my pledge for next year, to learn a little bit more than just hello or good day.
Okay.
That's essentially what I have.
I'm going to hold you to that.
When I see you here again next year, Bobby, I'll rock you some Portuguese for you.
I'll send you a text around Christmas or New Year's and just be like, porque, not that's Spanish, of course. But
Rosetta Stone, here I come.
I'm right there with you. I have to relearn Spanish in the next 6 months, so I'm right there with you.
Get at it. So, indeed, Kiko Porto, Brazilian, out front right now by 1.2 seconds from Miles Rowe. So, Kiko doing everything he can do. And, again, that's all you can ask from a driver. When you come into a championship like this, a triple header, where Miles Rowe rolls in here with a 58-point lead, there's a certain thing he can get done in each race to potentially lock this thing down. All Kiko can do is come in and try to win every race. So right now, Kiko Porto is the leader, as we know. Fast lap, we got 109.7 for Kiko, 109.9 for Rowe, 109.9 as well for Francesco Pizzi. So Kiko with the fast lap of the race as well. This could be 32 points if he finishes it off and holds on to the fast lap. So 32 points, and for Miles Rowe finishing in the second spot, that's 25 points. That would be a 7-point swing. It would be 51-point lead coming into race number 2. But again, with 33 points left, it's going to be a really good opportunity for Rowe to get it done. Again, such a great point lead. And indeed, Bobby, we come down to a triple header, right? And you're thinking, okay, what's he got to do? But he did all the work early. When you come into a position like this where you're trying to win a championship with a 58-point lead coming into a triple header, you look at the body of work, right? It's the fact that the first 4 races of the year at St. Petersburg and Sebring, he has 3 wins and a 3rd-place finish. He's on the podium in the first 4 races. Little blemish, 10th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and then he rolls out 1, 2, 3, 4 more straight top 5 finishes, another 2nd-place finish, and then an 11th at Mid-Ohio. Turns it back with another win at Mid-Ohio, and then a win at Toronto, and then kind of journeyman 4th and 6th-place finishes, just taking care of the race car at the Circuit of the Americas. This has been a textbook way to win. You think about this. Again, only one finish outside the top 10. That blemish of 10th at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, his only finish outside the top 10 came in race number 1 at Mid-Ohio, 11th.
Consistency across the board.
Right.
It's how you saw Will Power win last year's NTT IndyCar Series. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't sexy. He had a couple wins, but it was consistency. I believe he was one of 2 drivers, and Scott Dixon being the other one, that completed every single lap of the season. So just be consistent, and you will find yourself at the top.
That's it. It's very crucial. You just limit the big mistakes, I think, is one of the keys, and that's what Miles Rowe has done. And again, that's the maturation of Miles Rowe. Again, he's looking to become the first African-American to win an open wheel Formula Car Championship. But you look back to what he was like, his first year with Force Indy, a lot of incidents. He was qualifying mid-pack. We'd see him in a lot of contact, a lot of wrecks mid-pack. Moved to Pabst Racing with Force Indy last year and wrecked in the second race, or the first race. Huge wreck, destroys the car, has to come back, and then win again the next day. But the mistakes were there, right? And then even in the finale, made mistakes. He and his teammate Jace Denmark getting together. It's been a different Miles Rowe in 2023. And when you have those mistakes and you can learn from them, that's what makes you such a better driver. His maturity level has grown. We always know he's got the aggression, but he's tempered that with maturity and smarts right now. And that's why you're seeing him essentially cruise to a championship here in Portland.
Not to go back to the willpower one too many times.
As many times as you like.
But exactly what he did last year, where he said coming in, he goes, I am a new man. I'm going to focus my aggression instead of being mad about stuff I can't control. I'm going to let that go and focus on what I can control, and that's me behind the wheel. And look what happens. He goes and wins the championship.
And the really interesting thing, Bobby, when you use Will Power as the comparison for what we've seen on a Miles Rowe, it was Will Power that essentially discovered Miles Rowe down at Trackhouse Raceway, formerly GoPro Motorplex down in Mooresville, North Carolina, when the whole Roger Penske's drive for equality and change kind of came together to look for a young African-American driver to be part of this Force Indy program. Of course, Ernie Francis, we know in the Indy Next Series, but it was a couple of years ago when they started their own team in USF 2000, and it was Will Power that said, I think Miles Rowe is this kid. I see him out of this track in Mooresville, and he's racing karts, and he's got a lot of talent. He could be the guy. They ended up setting up a private test at Cape Motorsports on the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He's their guy. Again, their own car, which is tough to do, single car effort, and they struggled the first year, moved to Pabst Racing, and then it's been a march forward for Miles Rowe. So indeed, Kiko Porto leading the way right now, but this again is part of the storyline we're seeing for the young driver from Brooklyn, New York, with an opportunity to potentially win a championship here probably tomorrow morning. I don't think it's going to happen today, but tomorrow afternoon. No morning races for us, but very likely he'll be able to lock it down in race number 2, race 3 for certain. So again, first and second cruising around the racetrack right now. As we said, Kiko Porto leading the way, potentially cutting 7 points out of the championship lead for Miles Rowe. But again, 51 points. All it takes is a DNF for Rowe and another win for Porto. It's a 30-point swing, and that 51-point lead goes down to 21. Yikes!
Think it get real interesting real soon.
Super interesting. Yeah.
And again, Miles Rowe was lucky. He almost was taken out in the first lap incident. A car comes right across. He was able to steer around it. So again, it's staying calm, staying in the moment, and making sure that you are able to finish the race. Because you finish the race, everything else is left on the track.
Yeah, get the best, log the points you can in all 3 races. But again, what a difference a year makes. You think about the fact that he was right in the middle of the chaos, right in the middle of the incidents in all the races last year trying to win a championship in USF 2000. Pabst Racing already has their championship now with Simon Sykes. Fantastic job for Simon and Augie Pabst there. They're trying to do another one here to really sweep it and show themselves as the dominant player here in 2023. These are the drivers coming down here now. Bajoy Garg, great drive right now, P3. Fourth right now, Jace Denmark. Fifth, Lucas St. Jean, the young rookie who started with USF 2000 this year, had a pretty nasty shunt at the very end of the last race at Sebring, sat out for a couple of races, came back in USF Pro 2000 with turn 3, and really has done a great job. I thought maybe it was a big jump for Luca, the Canadian, to jump here into Pro, but running with Peter Dempsey's team, Brian Hallahan, the general manager there, really kind of working things through. He's been very steady, and I think he's done a great job. Luca right there in that number 3, but he's being challenged by Salvador de Alba right there with him. We could have a scrap here for P5. Salvador de Alba trying to go to work here, see if he can't close up. They're coming through there. There is St. Jean. There is De Alba. And right behind them as well is Francesco Pizzi, the Italian. A little bit further back, you see the fight between Jordan Missig and Michael D'Orlando as well.
Finally, they started to reel him in.
A little bit here and there, right? You can see that De Alba almost on the gearbox there, working his way. They'll get themselves down that back straightaway again as they come through these curves that lead onto the back chute. Through turn number 8, then to turn number 9. De Alba made a good move on Jack William Miller. Will be close enough? Not quite. Pizzi's actually closed up to De Alba as well. You can see Pizzi right there in that white TJ Speed machine. There's Missig. There's D'Orlando. D'Orlando qualified on the pole, but the best he can run right now is 9th, 110.2, but 4/10 off the speed of the front-running drivers. Miles Rowe about a 10th quicker last time by. 22 laps in, 8 to go. 8 laps remaining for race number 1 of a triple header for the USF Pro 2000 category. Again, this is the VP Racing Fuels Grand Prix of Portland, all part of the Grand Prix of Portland here, the season finale for our program, the penultimate event on the schedule for the NTT IndyCar Series. We'll see whether or not they crown a champion on Sunday as well. We're definitely doing it. Our final, we'll, of course, have our championship celebration on Monday evening. Looking forward to celebrating with the top 3 drivers in USF Juniors, USF 2000, USF Pro 2000. I had a chance to have our newly crowned USF 2000 champion, Nicholas Giaffoni, joining me here as our analyst. Did a great job as our driver analyst for the USF 2000 race. This is a great scrap right now for 5th, 6th, and 7th. St. Jean, De Alba, and you can see Pizzi trying to close up. The problem with this racetrack is so tough. You want to make the move down into 1, but you got to get through turn 11 and 12, and you get the understeer, you get the aero wash coming through. It's hard to get back on the power when you've lost that air off the front wing, and it's hard to take another line because you got to hug the inside.
You just got to make sure. I love this angle here, and they show the other camera angle from the top of 2. These guys are throwing their cars in there. They get a little air, and all of a sudden the tires grab, brings the car back, losing a little bit of speed, but you're right. Through the complex, 4, 5, 6 right now, then 7, 8, they lead down that backstretch. Mark Jane said it really good on the IndyCar radio broadcast. It's so picturesque back there, you don't have time to take in the beauty, and then all of a sudden you realize that you have this tight complex of left, right, and then you're right back on the gas coming down the front stretch.
That's it, right? And again, just like IndyCar deals with the aero wash, because these cars, of course, a lot more aero dependent, way more dual element rear wing, a lot more aero dependent, a lot more aerodynamic downforce than we have in the USF 2000 car, more mechanical grip in the USF 2000 car. I'll tell you this, though, Salvador de Alba dialing things in. He wants to make that move. He's trying to get close. All it's going to take is Lucas St. John to make a little bit of a mistake. Big run. Pizzi's coming in here, too. He's getting closer. They'll work their way down the straightaway, trying to get that run. Potentially going to be a deep braking maneuver here to get the job done for De Alba. He's not quite there. Again, one of the very unique storylines, Bobby, a driver we have here. We can probably even come to Phil on this one because I know he does a lot of oval racing as well. One of the great things about Salvador de Alba is not only does he run, Phil, in our program here in the USF Pro Championships in the USF Pro 2000 class, he'll go back. He's one of the top drivers in the NASCAR Mexico Series on the oval as well. He runs the Supercopa Touring Car Series, but he's the guy that will leave us and a race here, fly straight back to Mexico, not qualify the car, jump back in his NASCAR stock car and go win races there as well. So not only does he run the open wheel stuff, but also the heavier NASCAR machines too. So a very versatile driver out of Mexico.
And you could tell how good he is by doing that. There was a driver earlier you said that was Xfinity driver that was hoping to get here this weekend, didn't pan out, though.
Yeah, we were hoping to see Caleb Schrader, a young driver who is a top SCCA Spec Racer 4 driver, Formula Enterprises category driver as well. He ran here in the Xfinity race, and I believe finished 7th, a driver out of the Portland area. Caleb Schrader, again, a very talented young kart racer. I've had a chance to watch and call many of his races. They were hoping to try to put something together here to run this weekend. I'm hoping we get a little earlier on it to get him here when we come back next year, because I think he would really be a bear in one of our USF 2000 cars. I'm really impressed what he was able to do, Bobby, in that Xfinity race here, because that's a guy that doesn't get he runs Spec Racer 4, which is a great class within the SCCA, but to be able to do what he did in that Xfinity race, I think was tremendous.
It was really cool to see. And again, we talked about it all day, famous racing families, right? The Schraders, totally related to Ken Schrader. I believe it's his grandfather. And so just to see the tie-in there is great. But you're right. I'd love to see these guys make the move from either stock cars to open wheel or vice versa. But the guys that can do both really well are the ones that make the names for themselves, and you start seeing a lot of wins like you were talking about.
Indeed, watching out front, Kiko Porto trying to get the job done here. Laps winding down. I believe 5 laps remaining, and he has stretched that lead out a little bit, I believe. What's it up to now? Yeah, about a second now. It was down to about 0.6 of a second at one point. Not that bad, too bad now as they work their way again all the way up here into turn number 1. Kiko Porto, last time by, lap number 26 in the books here. We'll see as they update. Still about a second. Both drivers turning 109.8s last time by, but that 0.6 of a second is gapped a little bit. Maybe the better battle still is that one for P5 as Salvador de Alba continues to put the pressure on Lucas St. Jean, and the veteran de Alba, again, trying to keep the pressure up to see if they can't force an issue. And in fact, they're all kind of running together here as well. St. Jean, de Alba, Pizzi, missing only back by 0.8, as is de Orlando. They're all kind of right there. Fast lap still belongs to Kiko Porto, though, 109.5, and I think that's key. Kind of searching back through. Pizzi down to a 109.7. Oh, Michael D'Orlando, 109.574. No, a 515. Kiko Porto needs that bonus point to keep his dream alive of potentially stealing this championship away from Miles Rowe. And again, we can't say that it's over, because all it takes is a couple of opening lap wrecks, and you're like a Johnson Dzelski where you're finishing the tail of the field. 19th place in points is only 2 points. So indeed, the least that Rowe could get, a couple incidents in race 2 and 3, he could only log 4 more points. Kiko Porto comes in and gets a couple of wins at 30, 31, 32 points, and all of a sudden,
this championship is much closer than it was when we started the day.
It's not over. And that's why I think it's crucial here for Miles Rowe to come do the best he can to get some crucial points, right? Log the points you can, take 25 points, stack them on top of the total he had coming in of 333. There is a number he needs to get to that Kiko Porto can't get to. That's the key, right? Kiko Porto comes in at 275. The best he can do is 374. So 99 points all told, 33 per race. So 374. Rowe comes in with 373. If he gets to 374 with more wins, he's fine. So literally he needs 41 points on the weekend, essentially, to lock down the championship. 25 right now would be a great way to start. He'd only need, 19 points over the next couple of races. So that's the idea of taking the 25 now. Even though you're getting closer, could potentially challenge. Be smart, tuck back in. Here's the battle here. De Alba, again, close, coming into turn number 9.
Right on the gearbox. He has closed that gap down. It's got to be easily under a half second, if not less.
We'll have a look when they come around. 2 laps remaining, top 4, all spread out. De Alba always has that trouble getting back on the power at a 12, and again, the gap coming across the line about 0.4 of a second. Both drivers did 110.3s. So again, De Alba, when you're behind a driver at this racetrack, it's so hard to turn better laps because, again, you lose all that aero coming through the long sweeping corners of 4 and 5. Same thing coming through 11 and 12. You just don't have that chance to keep closing up. You can see how close he gets, Bobby, coming down the back straightaway. Just not quite close enough. And it's not like it's a hard braking corner where you can go deep on somebody. It's momentum. You got to stuff it in there and hope you get through 9, 10, and 11.
Yep, and you can lose all the momentum if you don't.
Yeah.
And then at that point, your race and trying to catch up is pretty much over at that point.
White flag will fly this next time by. 28 laps in the books. And as they come out onto the front straightaway, white flag for Kiko Porto, doing everything he can. The Brazilian trying to hold him back. Miles Rowe, as close as he has been, I believe, 0.8 was the gap. I think it's going to be even less than that as they come across the line. 0.813 last time by to put lap number 29 in the books as they work their way through the Festival Corner. How about 0.6? He's knocked off another 0.2 of a second. And again, the win won't give him that much more. He'll need 19 points over two races to cap off the day on Saturday and Sunday if Kiko Porto comes home with the victory. But again, for Kiko, his first win on the season. He had won last year, his second year here in USF Pro 2000. He won last year, but had to wait all the way to the Circuit of the Americas last weekend to get his first win of 2023, and an opportunity for him to put another one in the books. He could win all 3 races this weekend, although Michael D'Orlando could have something to say about that, starting back up front. Again, I think he'll be on pole for all 3 races, as these drivers not going faster than they did in qualifying. So here they come down the back straight through turn number 10 and 11 and 12. He got the victory in the opening race, the doubleheader at the Circuit of the Americas. And once again, the Brazilian flag will be represented on the top of the podium in USF Pro 2000. Down the front straightaway, twin checkers are out. Race 1 of the tripleheader in USF Pro 2000 goes to Kiko Porto. D-Force Racing wins again. Miles Rowe coming home in second. And indeed, as Aaron likens the stylings of the driver the flagman out of St. Louis, throwing the double checker for Porto. It's 1 and 3 for D-Force Racing. Kiko Porto, P1. Bajoy Garg, his best finish on the season. He'll go to 3rd. Jace Denmark in 4th as Pabst Racing 2nd, 4th, and 8th with Jordan Missig. Jace Denmark 4th. Lucas St. Jean able to hold back the race-long battle between he and Salvador de Alba. Francesco Pizzi in 7th. Jordan Missig, Michael D'Orlando, Avery Towns finish off the top 10 as we had chaos to start the race in the opening corners. Here is the unofficial results. Incorrect with Avery Towns on top. He's actually 10th. Porto, Rowe, Garg, Denmark, and St. John. Avery Towns finishing in the 10th spot. Flipped those around a little bit, but nonetheless a great run for Avery Towns. Only his second weekend driving here in the USF Pro 2000 category. Started the season in USF 2000 and has really settled in nicely to the pro car. I think he'll be strong in 2024. But again, let's see, where do we end up on fast time? 109.51 for Porto. D'Orlando, 109.57. So indeed, fast lap of the race goes to Kiko Porto, most laps led. 32 points for Porto, 25 points for Rowe, a 7-point swing, unofficially 51 points. The gap between first and second, only 66 points up for grabs for Kiko Porto. Again, we said Miles Rowe needs to get to 374
Yes.
points. He'll add another 24. He needs 19 points, as we said. So big positioning there for Miles Rowe. But here comes the driver who's got his second win of the season. The Brazilian fans will be happy. Kiko Porto, not only will he wrap up his USF Pro 2000 career here this weekend in Portland, he'll be back in an Indy Next car just next weekend at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, racing for Cape Motorsports. So he's already kind of making that move, testing the waters in Indy Next. He's going to be a driver to watch next year. Could be the next Brazilian star. And indeed, he has won here in Portland. Happy with that. Probably knew coming in that the championship pretty much out of reach, but the best bet you could do is come in and put on a show and win a couple of races.
Fantastic drive there. Absolutely fantastic drive.
Textbook.
That celebration, by the way, Christ.
You like that?
Over Rio, but I've
go.
also seen another Brazilian do that. Tony Kanaan did that.
I love it. And there's the celebration for the D-Force crew all coming in. There's Nicholas Giaffoni, USF Juniors champion here, fellow Brazilian driver getting a hug there. Here comes Ernesto Martinez as well. He's the E in D-Force. Great job there for, again, Kiko Porto. Miles Rowe, though, another step forward to winning a championship here in USF Pro 2000. Bajoy Garg, 2 D-Force drivers on the podium. Again, we'll make the move down to victory lane. We will not be crowning the champion yet today. Could be tomorrow for Miles Rowe, although a crucial haul of 25 points. He needs 19 points over the next 2 races. So indeed, if he finishes on the podium tomorrow, it's a done deal. He can finish 4th, and nobody can beat him. It all depends, again, on what Kiko Porto does. If Kiko Porto doesn't win, he can finish further back, right? So indeed, it's all going to kind of play down into what the other drivers do. But for Miles Rowe to take the control top 4 finish gives him the championship tomorrow afternoon. Teams get working their way back to Victory Lane. We'll finish up with weighing all our drivers here on pit lane. We'll walk them over to Victory Lane, and we'll cap off the day with celebrations for a Brazilian win for Kiko Porto. Again, won at Coda as well, his second win of the season. Very happy here for the young driver from D-Force Racing, ready to make his move into the Indy Next Series, following in the footsteps of so many drivers that we have developed here in the USF Pro Championships, the series formerly known as the Road to Indy. Again, a vast majority of the field in the Indy Next Series here this weekend, all coming through our program, whether USF 2000 or USF Pro 2000. I want to say 15 of the 17 drivers, 15 of the 18, all coming through, maybe even 16 of the 18. But it's time to go to Victory Lane, guys. We're ready to rock and roll. Stay with us, folks, on the live broadcast. Don't go anywhere. We'll run a couple of quick commercials. We'll come back with Victory Lane celebrations. Victory Lane to get things underway. Race number 2 of the 6 we've got in the USF Pro Championships here this weekend. We got 2 races for each series. Again, 2 more tomorrow afternoon, 2 on Sunday afternoon as well. But time to crown the winner of our first of 3 VP Racing Fuels Grand Prix of Portland events here at USF Pro 2000. Got a couple of our guys from Cooper Tires going to give us a hand passing out the hardware. Finishing in third, what a great run, folks, for D-Force Racing. Put your hands together for Bajoy Garg. P3, great drive for Bajoy to bring him his third place trophy. Dakota Cantor, again, one of our guys from Cooper Tires helping us out here. Dakota, thank you. Hop up on top of the podium with him. Let's get a shot. Bajoy Garg, great run to come home P3. Solid drive, putting down the laps for sure. Finishing in second, almost done, but finishing in second spot from Pabst Racing, Miles Rowe coming home P2. Needs 19 points over 2 races to cap off the championship. Miles Rowe, let's bring Brian Winnery in with the second place trophy. Miles, of course, strong season, another podium run here. Only one finish on the season outside the top 10 for Miles Rowe, and that's why he is fighting for a championship on Saturday and Sunday. Could get it done tomorrow with a top 4 finish. Driver's still fighting, though, going to the very end. You don't want to give up. He won his first race of the season at Coda last week. Another victory here. D-Force Racing first and third. Put your hands together for my winner today, Kiko Porto. Kiko, on a roll right now. You win in Austin, Texas. You win here as well. Give me your thoughts on that race. The opening lap, the opening corners were pretty crazy.
Wow, yeah, on the start, I just saw like a bunch of cars going straight. Was kind of confusing, but the team helped me to try to understand what is going on. But yeah, man, I mean, Miles put me in the situation that I needed to win races now. And,
right.
You know, so I'm trying to extract the maximum as possible. He did a great job finishing second. Also, this managed a lot of points for him in the championship, but it's not over yet. So I'm going to fight with everything that I have.
Who do you want to thank today?
For sure, D-Force Racing. I mean, this is my last weekend with them, so it's such a special moment after 6 years together. So let's finish the right way, man.
Congratulations. Get up on top of the podium. 6 years with D-Force, as I said, folks. He said, amazing. Let's bring that first place trophy in. Jake Callis has got the trophy here for Kiko Porto, coming off the victory at the Circuit of the Americas, as I had said. Again, capping off his time with D-Force Racing. He's done so much for this operation. Won the USF 2000 championship, as we know, a couple of years ago, winning races last year in Pro. He's on a run here now as well. Essentially got himself in the position where he's going to be the runner-up in the championship unless things happen. Like he said, it ain't over till it's over. There's still 2 races to go in this program. Everybody digging to try to do whatever they can to scrap the points. Big day, as we know, for Miles Rowe, though, came in with a 58-point lead. That's now down to 51, but he still hauled up 25 crucial points. He only needs to get to 374 and will be unattainable. Although Kiko can get to 374 with the race wins, 5 on total, Miles Rowe would win that tiebreaker. So 19 points is what he needs to cap things off. Kiko Porto's going to keep digging. But how about Bajoy Garg, folks, on the podium here, P3. What a drive as well. Putting down great laps, was able to pull away from Jace Denmark. D-Force Racing putting 2 drivers on the podium. And what a great way to start this weekend off. 3 days of wheel-to-wheel action in the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires. 2 races today. We got an interesting weekend. We're all going to sleep in tomorrow, I think, because we don't start until the afternoon. We got a couple afternoon races. Miles is like 100% sleeping in. We have races, of course, tomorrow afternoon, and then, of course, after the NTT IndyCar Series Grand Prix of Portland on Sunday. So yeah, we don't. We're racing afterwards, so we got a kind of a relaxed morning. We're gonna enjoy watching the IndyCar race and the Indy Next race, and we'll get our drivers back on the racetrack to cap off the 2023 season. Again, we're going to do this 4 more times, as I said, to cap things off. But what a season it's been, starting, of course, at St. Petersburg, rolling through road courses, street circuits, oval racing as well. And we'll cap off the season here, again, on Sunday in the Pacific Northwest. A big victory, second on the season for Kiko Porto, Miles Rowe. Crucial points here for second, but Joey Gargan third. Gentlemen, grab those champagnes. Time to grip it and rip it. Celebration time for USF Pro 2000. Big victory for Kiko Porto. It's not over in the championship. Miles Rowe needs 19 points over 2 days to see if he wins the title and goes to Indy next. We'll find out what happens on Saturday. We'll see you back here again if you're following live and watching on the YouTube channel or on the USF Pro Championships app. Thank you so much for being part of the action today. On behalf of Anderson Promotions and Cooper Tires, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.